All right, so we are here with Jordan Harrison. He's a real estate professional, all around real estate professional. He does flips. He's getting the flips. He's got his own properties. He's getting licensed in real estate, and he's also one of the Dealer 90 Days Masterclass coaches. Excellent guy. I met him do a real estate transaction up in I think Boston, and really stand up guy. Honesty, integrity, all the way around. Very professional man. So Jordan. If you don't mind, tell us a little bit about your story. How did you first get started in real estate? In I guess investing in general.
Investing in general. Well, one, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. You reaching out. Every time we talk, even when we were first trying to do the deal, it was always good vibes. I'm happy that you reached out and to do this. So thank you for that. I wanted to go ahead and get that out of the way.
No problem.
But to answer your question, how I first got started in real estate was I purchased my first home in 2009. So I had just graduated college. I started working. I was down in the Panhandle of Florida, and I knew I kind of been doing a little research. I hadn't rented a place. No, I did rent a place, but reading books and listening to my parents. My parents, I found out kind of after the fact that they had their own kind of properties, but at the time, Obama was giving out $7,500 for first-time home buyers. And my mom was really kind of pushing me, hey, you might want to think about buying a home. And so I did a little research, realized, I don't know if I want to pay rent to somebody else and have it go nowhere. So I ended up jumping in the market, purchased in 2009, and then ended up going to grad school. The purchase was just for me to live. And I was like, hey, this is cool to have my own house, have my own place. Um, but then I started getting into real estate and kind of thinking about rentals is when I went to grad school. And I went in person, but I still had to maintain a house. So the school I went to Tuskegee University. It was about 3 hour drive from where I was. And I realized, okay, I can't pay for a apartment up here and a mortgage down there. So I ended up renting out my house. It worked out pretty well for me while I was in school. Later, when I decided to leave the area, like move forward with my career, I ended up moving to the DMV area. And I realized that, if I sell the house, I might only make like 5 grand, which to me wasn't really worth it. So I decided to continue to rent.
Mhm.
And along those lines and going through that process, I realized, hey, there's something to this rental, there's something to this real estate thing. And that's kind of what got the gears going and really got me heading down this path.
Awesome, awesome. I mean, that ties right into my next question, man. Since that, I guess that's your first deal. So, like, what were your big takeaways from doing that first deal?
Hmm. Homes cost money. Uh, um, and yeah, like I was young, so I was happy to do all the work myself. Not happy on most days, but sometimes it wasn't so much. But I enjoyed it, and it. I knew after doing some research, like looking at what other people are doing, looking at investors and the wealth in America, and kind of reading some of the bio books, and I see that to move forward, real estate was really a key.
Mm,
And it was something that I felt was attainable to me. Um, I I would say my parents, I grew up, we weren't low income, but we had what we needed. But to get to the next level and looking down the future, I saw that wealth could be generated through real estate. And I felt like that was something that was achievable to me.
mm,
And that's kind of what put the fire in my belly. So the first deal was a house in Florida. I maintained, I held on to it as long as I could. The thought was to have it forever. It was 10 minutes from the beach. So I wanted it to be like a beach house and all this stuff. But um, as soon as I got to my next destination, I started looking for another house. And
mm.
so that was my first true investment was in the DMV area. And I kind of haven't looked back since.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. Well, I know you talked about before we got on the call that you're getting your real estate license and you're doing other things. So I guess what's your favorite exit strategy? I know you're doing multiple different
Mm.
things. You got houses that you keep now. Like, what's your favorite exit strategy right now?
Exit strategy? I haven't exited anything yet. Well, I guess I exited one. My favorite, the main one I've done is with that home in Florida. I ended up selling that in 2020 and doing a 1031 exchange into a duplex in Baltimore.
Mm,
Uh, it took a little bit, but that was, I feel like it was a step up from a cash flow standpoint. I started thinking cash flow. I knew I didn't want to work forever. That was something else I had told myself early that I wanted to retire before a certain age, and I told myself 40. I ended up self-retiring before my 36th birthday, but um, I started thinking cash flow, and I saw that multifamilies were a great way to do that.
mm.
And also, if you hold on to them, they're a good way to, again, build that wealth. So, yeah, that was my last exit strategy, or that was my favorite exit strategies. I went from a single family to multifamily. So anytime I feel like that's monopoly moves, but anytime you can step up like that, then it's pretty good.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. All right. Well, I guess my next question would be, how has real estate changed your life, financially and personally? I know you mentioned that you self-retired. If you want to dive in a little bit more into that, what that looks like for you in general, it doesn't to be too specific.
Yeah, so it has helped me I'm married now with two kids under two. So I ended up leaving my job before my daughter was born. And the time I got back, not having to do a 2.5 hour commute on the day, being home, being able to be around her, help see her, especially in the early stages. And now I have a son who's 4 months, about to be 4 months old. So being here for them has really is the biggest way that it's affected me. Not having to be pulled into all these other directions, even though um, real estate isn't truly a passive investment. So there's always work to be done. I found that I ended up working kind of more hours
Mm,
than I previously was working, but again, I set my own schedule. It's around what I need to. So um, it's it's given me my own time back and not being on somebody else's time was the biggest thing for me and the biggest change in my life.
that is amazing. You are living the dream, man.
I'm trying.
I think most people would love to be in that position where they can just, sit back and let their passive income come in. Like you said, it's not completely passive, but yeah, let that money come in and help support your family, and you get at least the freedom to be around your kids. If you had a 9 to 5 job, it'd be completely different. You'd be at their beck and call, and gotta be at that desk doing, doing
Exactly.
whatever they would tell you. What was your background before that? Then I guess what were you doing before you retired?
Yeah, so I was an engineer by trade. I
Okay.
went to school I got my bachelor's in mechanical engineering and I got my master's in electrical engineering. So I was a system engineer supporting the DoD. My whole career was around the DoD. I worked directly for the Air Force for a while, and
Mm,
then coming to the DMV area, I ended up transitioning over to a contractor. And most people were like, why would you leave that job? It's a good salary. And it was. I have no complaints. Except that, yeah, when my portfolio started growing, and I realized that, yeah, I'm now more busy on the real estate side than I was on the job side. And also that I wasn't fulfilled on the job side. That was
mm.
another thing, is that it was, again, it's somebody else's. I'm It's not a bad thing to have the job, but it wasn't something that I was in love with anymore.
Yeah.
And yeah, I found a passion or a fire from real estate, and so I started going that direction. Once my assets and really once the work became too much, and once it started pulling me away, that's when I decided to make the switch. So yeah.
That's awesome, man. That is awesome. All right. Well, I'm gonna ask this question. This is kind of off the wall question, but what is your favorite real estate book of all time?
Okay.
You can't say Rich Dad Poor Dad. I'm
It's a good one. No, 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 it's a good one. And I feel like my answer is going to be the generic boring one,
okay.
which is Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Ah.
See? But I'll say this. I'll say this. It is not, it is my favorite book because it really got my mind thinking into just money in, money out.
Yeah.
Uh I was raised pretty good as far as learning how to save. My dad, my family taught me how to save money. But really that I feel like that book started me thinking on, hey, what are these expenses going in? What are these expenses going out? And then especially having that first house. So I commented that homes are expensive, but really it changed my mind and how I kind of looked at things. When I was out with friends or having fun, and I still made sure I had fun, but I started looking at certain nights when I'm spending a lot of money. Say it's a celebration, I spend a couple $100s. When I had the house, and when I have, as I have these homes, I start looking at, hey, how much the refrigerators cost? How
Mm,
much a dishwasher cost? And I'm like, oh, that time I had last night could have just replaced the refrigerator that I needed to get done.
mm.
So I started looking at things slightly differently. But I think that book is what really kicked it off and really got my mind kind of down this path. And so I gotta give credit to Mr. Kiyosaki.
Oh man, I shouldn't even said his name. He's everybody. He's everybody. Every investor's favorite book of all time. He brainwashed the entire generation. All right. Well, let's keep going. What's cash flow or appreciation? What's more important to you at this point?
At this point, At this point, I would say appreciation.
Okay.
Um, and it's changed. So when I first started, my goal was to, again, I was looking to get away from the job. So I looked at, hey, my expenses, again, rich dad, poor dad. What are my expenses per month? But yeah, what are my expenses per month? And so I found a number that I was spending, and I was like, hey, if I can make that number, not necessarily my salary, but if I can cover my expenses, if I can still save a little bit, then I think I can step away from the job. So when I first started, it was cash flow. Um, my ultimate goal was to jet off and move somewhere foreign and live like a king for like $2,000 a month. Um, Life changes, but that's kind of what where my thought was. But as I evolved and as my family's growing, I'm seeing that holding on to the assets, getting that appreciation in the beginning for any asset that I get, generally I put in some type of equity, sweat equity. I put work into the property, so at least I lock in some of the equity and ultimate appreciation. So now I'm looking at holding it, seeing, hey, as these markets are going up, how much equity, how can I use that money? How can I leverage things? So to me, that appreciation is something that has gained value for me, especially as I've gotten older.
Awesome. Awesome. Great answer. There's no wrong answer to that, but that's awesome. All right. Oh, well, I'm just out of curiosity, which country are you planning on moving to if you were to go abroad?
So when I first started looking, I was looking at basically somewhere that $2,000 could set me up pretty good. That was between South America and Asia.
Mm.
So I was looking at Colombia, I was looking at Costa Rica, and then getting with my wife or us talking. So she is now coming along the journey and the investing journey, not obviously the life journey.
Mm.
Um, but we started looking at Portugal.
Oh, nice, nice.
Yeah, so basically, I was looking at places where I wouldn't have to give up too much as far as my regular amenities, and I think people are surprised would be surprised by what a lot of countries have that, um, if not better than or on the same level as what you're used to here in the States.
Yeah, I had a buddy who went to I think Thailand last year. He was living like a king for like $500 a night or a month, something insane like that. Eating out every night on the beach. It's just
Yeah.
living in a luxury apartment, and yeah, it was amazing.
Exactly. I have some friends who who were teaching abroad, and they are living in Brazil, living in Thailand, living in Dubai. And so I realized like that's another thing I do is I like to travel. So in getting out and seeing the world, I'm like, hey, there are other places outside of here. But again, it's each person has their own journey. Each person's looking to do things. But I ultimately was trying to retire early, which meant how can I stretch this dollar?
Yeah.
So
Okay. Okay. All right. What's one thing you wish you knew before doing your first deal?
hmm. One thing I knew, let's see. I wish that I knew what to kind of look out for. Double check things. Running your numbers is a good thing. But my first deal, I will say, and this kind of, I don't think I fully answered your first question on what I learned, but uh, the house I bought in Florida, I bought it was from the developer, from the contractor. He bought an older house, he renovated it, it looked great. It was a 3-1, but in the list description, he said if you offer full price, he would build a second bathroom.
Mm,
Long story short, made an offer. Appraisal came down a little under what he wanted, and he ended up splitting. I never saw him again, but I had a check for what he proposed the bathroom would cost. Once he left, I had to go get bids for that same job, and I found out that the check was short. Basically, it was another like 15K, which I didn't have,
mm,
and I ended up not getting my second bathroom, which was disappointing. So I wish I had double checked that scope of work that he gave
mm,
and with several people and kind of help myself out down the line. I also wish I just found the money and just maybe got a loan to build that second bathroom
mm,
because when I eventually sold it, the house would have been for a 3-2 in that area. I want to say it was another 45K from when I sold it in value. And so if I would have just spent $10,000 a couple years before, I would have 7x that money.
yeah. Wow,
Or
hindsight is
5x,
2020.
sorry. 4 or 5x.
Hindsight is 2020, man. Sorry about
Exactly.
that.
But again, that was a lesson learned. So I mean, you never know. Those are small things that I think can catch people up. That's a little uh it might not be a traditional deal or something that's in a regular deal where you're having people do work to the house as a part of the purchase, but um it was a way it worked out in the long run. I'm okay, but I also kind of chalked that up, and this is the unfortunate part, but it's real, is similar to getting a college degree, you have to pay for your education. Whether it be a class, whether it be a deal in 90 days masterclass, whether it be, again, a college degree. For me, it was a mistake, but I've made and had to pay for all these mistakes down the line. And I feel like that's kind of basically purchased or through those mistakes, I've learned and I've gotten my degree in in real estate and through some of these things, I'm always learning. But I do think you have to pay for those lessons, and whether it be yourself or through somebody who's already done it before, like yourself, and has the expertise. I think nothing's free. You can Google a lot, you can YouTube a lot, but it's nothing like also doing it yourself to make you learn. Trial by
Absolutely.
fire.
Absolutely. I like Les Brown. He says, you can fail your way to success. I think that's a very true statement.
Yes, yes.
You're
Failing
never,
isn't a bad thing. It's when you fail and you don't learn.
yeah. And you never really fail unless you just quit.
That is true. That is
Otherwise, it's
very
like,
true.
you just learn a lesson, like got another data point. So,
Exactly.
all right. So, best piece of advice you have ever received? I guess
Uh,
real estate advice.
real estate advice. Um, real estate advice, I would say if the numbers work, then the numbers work. Like then it should work. The deal should work. Basically trusting yourself, trusting the numbers. Not saying just run them one time and run with it. But if you are analyzing a deal and you've given it to somebody else to look at it and you've analyzed it 15 ways and on paper it's making, if it looks like it makes sense, then it should make sense. As long as you accounted for a lot of things, then to me, that's the biggest part. And trusting that portion. So a
Yeah.
lot of times with these investments, I got nervous. I still get nervous, but the numbers work. Generally, you kind of got to trust that. And as long as you're accounting for these things, then it should work out in your favor,
Yeah. Do you ever
hopefully.
like it's out of curiosity because I know, when I ran numbers like a lot more than I do now, but like the more I look at the numbers, it seems like the worse they get. You experience
Oh,
that?
yeah.
Is it
Yes.
just me or
No, it happens that way. If you start taking everything into account, they can get scary, but in general, for me, when I was analyzing deals, I'm looking at like cash on cash returns. So if it got me anywhere near that, or if my vision of the property got me near that, because I think I do something unique with my properties and I try to increase the door numbers with mine.
Mm,
So a deal that might not make sense to you might make sense to me.
mm.
So again, running those numbers. But yeah, when you start factoring in, oh yeah, I didn't think about the internet, and oh, how about this? Having that cushion in those numbers can help with those little things. But um, yeah, in general, I try not to let that deter me too much, especially if I have that vision in mind and I know what I can do with the property.
Absolutely, absolutely. I have to ask you about that strategy. You're adding doors. Are you doing like pad splits or anything like that, or are you just like long-term rentals?
I do try to do all the above. I have a couple long terms, but really midterm, short term.
Mm,
And adding doors to me, it's like you said, pad splits is one. In Baltimore, what I do is the a majority or a lot of homes in Baltimore have the downstairs kitchenette
mm,
and kind of are already broken up. A lot of the homes have the same layouts. It's just do they have two panels or not? And I will create separations and create doors to where now the single family home is now a two unit. So it's a two bedroom upstairs, studio downstairs. And I've found that doing that, just multifamilies in general, the more income you can produce, or the more income or streams of income a property can produce, generally, the better your numbers and you are.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. All right. Well, where can people connect with you to follow you on your journey? Is there like an Instagram, Facebook, any handles you want to kick out there?
That's the piece that I'm not the biggest on. So right now, I would say you can email me directly. Email my email is contact at crownres.org. I would like to build out my social media presence. I'm not. I'm trying to get like you, Curtis. Um, but of late, and what I've been doing is really focused on building, renovating, and managing my rentals. And so now that I feel I've gotten into a stable place, I feel like now it's a good time to really kind of grow and make my presence known and hopefully continue to build and move through this real estate journey.
Absolutely. That's good. Gotta get you on the gram, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I need, that's another thing. It's tough, especially as I do those renovations to remember, oh yeah, I gotta go set up the tripod and make sure this is in the shot. And so sometimes it's hard for me just like it's enough just to get the energy to go do the thing. And I'm just trying to get it done versus, oh yeah. So either hiring somebody, bringing somebody in to help do that while I do it. But yeah, I agree.
Awesome, awesome. All right. Any final words of advice for someone watching who wants to get started but feels stuck or overwhelmed?
Um, I would say one of my favorite things, or some of my favorite things about real estate is that there are so many different paths that you can go on just within real estate. Even if you don't have a lot of money, if you do have a lot of money, if you want to do land, if you, there's so many different things. And it's a matter of you have to get past that first step, that fear. Again, for me, I'm pretty analytical. And so when I saw that the numbers are telling me that this is a go and I found a path to do it, then it was just a matter of just taking that step. And I think that because there are all these different avenues, there's so many different steps and so many different levels at which people can get in. It's just a matter of doing it and getting in. And I think that in general, if you look at the long term of real estate, especially if you're holding, the market does go up. Even if it's a short term null, or a down market, eventually it will go up. So it's kind of looking at what you want to do. But I think that it's extremely powerful tool. It's something. Why do all the wealthy people have real estate? Why are they all in it to some degree? And it's because it works. And so I think that if somebody out there is thinking about it or wanting to do it, whether you need to build your credit, which is doable, if you need to hide out for a year and just eat, I'm not gonna say jelly sandwiches, but if you want to just save and try to build that first that nest egg, or at least that first step into it, you will see then, hey, it's maybe not so bad. Yeah, it comes with some a little bit of work and you might get bruised up a little bit, but when you look back on your journey, you'll see how far you've come. And I think that, again, it's just an extremely powerful tool that not enough people take advantage of.
Man, great answers, man. This is you should be definitely be on camera more. Thank you so much, Jordan Harrison. You are the man. I would definitely agree with what he said. You know, don't let analysis paralysis or the fear overwhelm you and keep you from moving forward in your real estate journey. He's a part of the Deal in 9 Days Masterclass team. Thank you so much, Jordan. Consummate professional. I have had a blast, man. Anything else you want to say before we go?
No, this was great. I was a little nervous coming in. Hopefully it went off well, but I look forward to continuing to work with you, work with anybody who does decide to take the master class. I think that's a great journey. There's always opportunity out there, no matter what's being said in the news, even with things that are happening. What I constantly tell and look for myself is, okay, even if this is happening, regardless if I like it or not, where is the opportunity? How can I win? So I think if you have that mindset, if you're not scared to hustle and not scared to grind a little bit, because it will take that, then I think the sky's the limit.
Awesome. All right, thanks again, and hope you have a great rest of your day, Jordan.
Yeah, do the same.
Bye bye.